Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stop. What y'all laughing at? Thank you for tuning into the Nick and Mal Show. We are joined by a special individual. Piff Marti's in the building. Thanks for coming through, bro.
Yes, sir.
What's going on?
How was your trip here?
It was long. Like I live like an hour and a half from here, so. But I don't mind like long rides just because I get the time to like just like think or just work on something, edit a video, like work on a rap, anything like
this
that.
is on your phone? You doing this while on the train?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. That's wavy. Did you as a dude from the Bronx, I would just ask you this. Did you feel any imminent danger coming to Brooklyn?
All the fucking time.
Word.
Oh, coming to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like in general today or just
today?
Like no, I've been in Brooklyn. I'll be in Brooklyn. Brooklyn not that dangerous no more.
It's not.
I ain't gonna lie. It's kind of not that it's soft because I don't want like niggas to like pull up on me.
Niggas be outside the studio waiting for that ass. Like
JD was just here, so we don't want to see him.
No, but Brooklyn is not. I'm not afraid of Brooklyn, but Bronx is like a different animal though, because you know you hear older stories like that, like niggas getting killed or jumped all the time. I remember when I was younger, like it was bad. Depending on what coat you wore, you probably not going home with the same coat. Or any coat or any sneakers or whatever. So I'm used to like danger, which is not that good. Now that I think about it,
that's the issue with the black community, I would say.
Yeah.
You want to hear the cop story of working in the Bronx? You ready for this?
What are you talking about?
Well, here's a joke. Doing 1 year as a cop in the Bronx is equal to doing 4 years in Queens.
As far as the amount of fucked up shit you're gonna see?
Yeah.
Why is the Bronx like that?
I don't know. I mean, I think when it comes to any neighborhood where crime is poverty, like niggas are trying to eat, you gotta find some way to get your bread, like whether in people either steal, scam, you know. I mean, and there's a lot of anger in the neighborhoods too, just because people don't have no money. You know what I mean?
So my thing is like, okay, so Brooklyn was trash. I mean, I moved to Brooklyn in 2011, and when I moved in, it was kind of 2011. Listen, bro, I'm in the future. Come on, Elon Musk said that my way. Come on, we really over there. But when I moved in 2011, there was cops on my blocks all the time, right? And it was clearly an effort to make shit more cool. And as you said, Brooklyn has become a lot better place. Why hasn't that happened in the Bronx?
I mean, let's keep it a buck. I think Brooklyn has become this way because of gentrification. You know what I mean? Like people from the outside were moving in, and that equal to dollars in the eyes of some people. So more people invested in Brooklyn to make it cleaner, make it safer. That hasn't happened in the Bronx just yet. It's starting to. Like in certain areas, there's gentrification. There's a lot more money being put into it just to increase the stability and safety of it, but this is one of the last boroughs in the city that has happened to. You know what I mean? Like it happened everywhere else. Now it's starting to happen in the Bronx. So I think that's one of the reasons. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is that one?
And the Bronx is big as fuck too. Like there's a lot to cover and a lot to improve. So that's probably why it happened so slowly.
Is that the reason why everyone loves AOC so much? Is she like y'all savior? Yeah. I don't know. Everybody from the Bronx seem to love AOC. I think she's a cool person.
It's because she from the bottom. You know what I mean? Like she used to work at a bar and then she just worked her way up. Like I'm personally not like the biggest AOC fan, but I like a story of somebody who came from where they came from to where she's at now, where she's ultimately gonna be at such a young age. I think she's like 20.
She's 33, I think.
33. But she's young though. You know what I mean? Like in the field that she's in, she's young, and coming from where she came from, you always got to root for somebody like that. Same with A Boogie, same with Cardi, or whoever else came from the Bronx. Like people don't make it out of the Bronx. You know what I mean? People compare Bronx to Florida. Type shit. You know
That's what Charlamagne say, right?
Charlamagne said
the craziest people come from the Bronx and all of Florida, and I agree.
It's really like that. So, yeah, you know what I mean? But I lived in Harlem most of my life though, but I always went to school in the Bronx. I was always in the Bronx to know how the Bronx is. Okay. You know what I mean? What was you gonna say?
I was gonna say shout out to AOC, man. I think she's doing her thing. As you said, I really don't agree with all of her politics. Like I'm not far left like that. I think she is kind of the same. I'm sorry to say this, but as Trump or one of these guys where they're just gonna choose their side and roll with it 1,000%. When the truth always lies somewhere in the middle. But as you said, she was a bartender, bro, and now she's one of the most famous politicians in the country.
And then like clout gives you pull when it comes to politics. Like our last president was a prime example of that. So like if she runs for president, she's gonna have she already has a fan base. I don't want to say fan base. She has a supporters because we gotta stop treating politicians like celebrities.
But unfortunately, bro, that's what it is. Joe Rogan has the greatest joke of all time. So smart. Why do we have a popularity contest to determine who runs the country? And that's what it is. And that's why it's moving that way. It's sad, but
the thing with AOC is I heard that her brother, so the Democrats was running like a campaign for someone to run or something. And her brother just like put her name down, and they just picked her. Yeah, I don't know her real history of politics, but
that's how she started.
Yeah, she said it. She said that. She was like, "Yeah, my brother just put me into this thing that the Democrats was running, and they chose me."
That's crazy.
Yeah,
the fuck.
She said it out her own mouth.
Like, granted, like I'm happy for her. I'm happy that she got into it, but isn't that like a problem though? Yeah. Like that somebody else can put your name and then you just get voted in. And you didn't even know that you were running for something.
They like the way you look. It's like, oh yeah, she's perfect.
That's kind of crazy.
And they just they feeding her information what to say.
So imagine how many people that don't have good intentions were put in situations like that, and now they have a bunch of power over a jurisdiction. You know what I mean?
But that's the issue with monarchies, right? Like I was listening to this documentary about what's that rich country with all the Arab people? Dubai. The crown prince, I forgot his name, Solomon or something like that. But he was just a young kid who his father, first of all, he wasn't even supposed to be the crown prince, and his dad decided, like, listen, I want you to be it. And now he was like, oh shit, I'm in power now, and he's wilding. Now that's there was this journalist that was talking bad about him. The guy walked into the embassy, never walked back out. Into an embassy, bro. And they found his body cut up in little pieces and bags and shit.
No.
Yes, bro.
How recent was this?
Probably a few years ago.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. One of the biggest leaders in the world. This is the type of shit he's doing. And it's clear that was his motive for it. And the guy started off liking him. Right? He was like, yo, he's young. I like the way he's doing things. He's progressive. He actually, in Dubai, they used to have like a social score where we was talking about. And women was not able to dress any type of way. You had to have your hair covered, even if you wasn't like a citizen of Dubai. And he was like, listen, Brandon, we need to be more like the West in order to improve our economy and just improve the aspects of our country. And he cut it off. So a lot of people love him. The young people love him. But then he just started getting crazy.
Mad with power.
Yeah, he's bombing Iran, and he's just going crazy.
Like, I don't know enough about it to speak more on it, so I don't want to give, like, too many opinions, because I only heard about this from you. But it's kind of crazy how, just based on what you described, like, people with no history of running anything just out of nowhere just has a country. A whole country.
Donald Trump.
Exactly. Imagine you get a country right now. What you gonna do?
What you doing, boy? Boy from Trinidad.
I don't know, man.
What you gonna do if you get a country? You don't even know.
What country? What country are you giving me?
The first thought in your head is like, damn, what the fuck do I do?
You got a bunch of papers in front of you. You don't even know what any of these things are. You don't even know that these cities existed until it was put in front of you. Now you gotta do something about it.
They need help.
And you know what the issue with that is? We always assume like, okay, the president is a puppet, right? Everyone say the president is a puppet, and there's all these smart people behind him who actually make the decisions. But even the veil on that has kind of been removed. I think Donald Trump, first of all, both his press secretaries were never press secretaries before, right? And he's kind of showing people like, listen, bruh, this is not a very hard job. This is your regular job that you could apply for and do this shit.
Okay, I'm not gonna say that. It's not hard to get into. Rather, it's hard to do.
You think so?
Yeah, bro.
Being a press secretary?
No, I'm not talking about press secretary, but just being a press secretary of the United States. You know what I mean?
I think that shit is easy as fuck.
Nah, it's like word of mouth. Like I think his name Daryl Freeman. He was a recent episode on Earn Your Leisure. He was saying that he be giving people he know that don't have the best credit loans with good interest rates because of word of mouth. He's like, yo, he goes, people could get good rates and everything off of their character. So I believe his name Darryl Freeman. If he speaks about their character, they could easily get that loan. And he's big on like, yo, if you starting a business, go out to eat with 3 bankers.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So he's saying go
develop
out to
that
eat
relationship.
Develop that relationship. Talk about someone's character, because now when that banker meets that person, fuck the credit score, anything else, their income. Oh, Darryl Freeman just gave me all this good information about his character. I know it's gonna be a good hand.
And
so it's more exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
Trump's situation probably could be like character. I know you work hard. You really don't have the title for it, but I know what you're gonna do for me. You're gonna help me out. I'd rather have you. Same thing like last when we talk about you rather have your people around you. You know how Drake, Jay-Z have it instead of Joe Blow from the street. That's really could be a Harvard grad or anything. He might not have your best interest like your closest friend. So it could be like stuff like that.
And it's funny that you say that, because relationships are the most important thing when it comes to any industry that you work in. Like, you're going to get a job over somebody because you know them. You might not be the most qualified or more qualified than this person, but you have a higher, you're more valid because you know this person.
And it has big trust into it.
Do y'all think that's a bad thing, though? I think it's personally a good thing. I don't think the person who... on with sports, related to sports, the team that looks the best on paper isn't always the best, because we get into chemistry, we get into trust issues. How do people bond? And I think the same thing in business. Like, if you do get a position because you are trusted, maybe things work a little bit smoother than someone who fit the perfect bill.
I mean, it depends. Like, it could be good, it could be bad. I think it's 50-50, because just from the examples that we just laid out with the Trump situation, like, just because you know Trump, that don't mean that you good, because that your leader ain't shit. So it's like, it doesn't matter. But it works in your favor too. So as long as you're a good communicator, as long as you know what you're doing, if you could get that in, use it. Like, use your privileges. Like, that's why. And another thing about privileges, like, I'm not too mad about privileges, because of course, if I have a privilege, I'm gonna use it to my advantage, just like somebody else is using it. So get in where you fit in. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, don't get in there. You feel me?
Yes.
But if you do,
that's a great point you brought up, right? And this might be a hot take. I get shit on this show all the time for the hot takes I have. But I personally do not have an issue with white privilege. I think the hate when it comes to white privilege is kind of misrepresented. We should be mad that we are not given the same privileges that they are. We shouldn't be mad that they have those privileges. Because I think some of the privileges they are just regular human shit. Like, what are some of the examples of white privilege?
I think I'm a reply to what you said before, but I think advantage of the white privilege is being able to being looked at as safe.
Everyone should be looked at as safe,
right? And that's the problem. That's the problem people have with white privilege. Now, I don't blame people for being white. You know what I mean? Because they can't help that they're white. You know what I mean? Just like we can't help being black, other people can't help being themselves. But there's something to say about ignoring that you have this privilege. Don't feel bad about it, but do acknowledge it.
But is being viewed as safe a privilege, though? Shouldn't that be a right? Like, if you are a safe person, I would say black people we don't have the right to be viewed as safe. I think you said it in one of your songs, like, what is my life worth to a cop or something like that. That I don't.
My dog's gonna go meet the police.
Exactly. I don't think. I'm trying to say this perfectly. I don't think because a white person has that benefit of the doubt of being a safe person, that's not necessarily a privilege to me. That's just how it should be. Black people, unfortunately, just don't have that.
But because it's not how it should be, it's why it's a privilege. You know what I mean? And the reason why it's not there for everyone is a problem too. So that's what people try to acknowledge when they mention things like white privilege or anything like that. I do have a problem with people like blaming them for having it, like trying to make people feel bad about it because they can't help it.
Yes.
Now that's another conversation, but it is something to acknowledge that this privilege, I'm gonna stop calling it privilege, that this we'll find a name for it. This thing,
unequal treatment. I would say it's an unequal treatment, and that's what it is, right?
That this thing exists, and that's what needs to be that's what needs to be solved. But making people feel bad about it, I don't think that's the best solution because black people have privileges too. You know what I mean? Like we could dance. I mean,
let's talk about it.
Like that's something minimal, of course. That's just a minimal example. But
we could spit bars.
Everybody has an example.
Like I was telling
of privilege that they take advantage of more than another group. You know what I mean?
Another black privilege is this was kind of one of my friends from work. He's white, but he's cool, very cool. He's making like some funny racist jokes. Like honestly, I like when a good white person makes a good racist joke, but they make it kind of palatable.
If it's funny,
it's funny.
I'm laughing, bro. Like, go ahead.
So I'm like, a black privilege is that I can get a sound out of your girl that you couldn't.
Yo,
that word though.
He said that.
I said that to him.
Oh, you said that to her?
Do you get it?
Yeah, come on.
Come on. Now we there.
Don't look at Mal like that and then ask him if you got it.
Mal been on some. Mal been on some Mookie shit since you got here. But Piff, listen, man, we are happy to have you here with us. Honestly, like I say, we're excited for every interview, and it's for different reasons. Like the last interview we had was this dude. He was extremely smart, and he was just giving us knowledge, and I was excited for that. For you, for many other reasons first of all, the way that we all met was very organic.
Let's talk about
very organic. We could talk about that too. Me and Malcolm, we went to this place called Naked Retail, which you work at. You want to tell the people what Naked Retail is exactly?
So Naked Retail is it's a collaborative retail space that curates different brands, direct to consumer brands that you would see on Instagram or anywhere on the internet, and give people the opportunity to touch it, you know, instead of like looking at it on an ad and thinking like, damn, I don't know if I, you know. But where Naked comes in, they give people the opportunity to experience it and see what these products actually do and the functionality of it, which makes it very, very unique too. You know what I mean? And I don't mind saying where I work at because I like being real. Like I still have a job. You feel me? Anybody listening, you know, I still, you know. But yeah, that's how we met. And then you guys came in. Y'all had the branding, and that was really interesting to me because I'm into branding. I like when people who do some kind of work like know what they're doing, and y'all seem like y'all knew what y'all was doing. Y'all actually came from Pod in that day, right?
We just had a podcast.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, all right, cool. And then I was just talking to Nick about podcasts, and you knew what you was talking about, like, and you know, we just had a regular conversation.
It was like for 30 minutes. We was just chatting. And I'm like, wow, this dude is smart. And before I even knew that you were really good at what you did, I'm like, yo, we need to have you on the podcast. Because even if you were trash at music, which you're not, we're going to get into that in a little bit. Like, this is a cool dude, very smart, and it seems like he's knowledgeable on a lot of things. So, yeah, the way we met was organic. But I was saying, like, I'm excited to have you on for multiple reasons. Number one, you are really good at what you do.
Thank you, bro.
And secondly, I look at you as someone, like, the part about this podcast is that we're young. We're not a big draw, but I think a lot of people see a little bit of potential in us. And to have someone like you on the show, I look at this as in 5 years, we could sit back and say, yo, we had Piff Marti on the show. Because you are someone who everyone knows. Because your talent is like that. The shit that you make, the shit that you put on IG, bro. I honestly don't know what to categorize it as. Because I don't want to just say it's music. I look at it as content pieces. How would you explain it?
Like, I would say it's content pieces too. Like, I try to figure out how to make myself visible in this space now, especially with COVID going on, and just like how the way that music changes. It's actually been changing every year now. So I've been trying to figure out how do I make it so that I'm still myself and making dope shit. So I just decided to double as a content creator. You know what I mean? And just mixing both of those two has been like real helpful for me too, because one is unique and it's something that I've never seen anybody do.
I've never seen, and I wanted to ask you if you drew inspiration from somebody else, because I've never seen anything like it.
I mean, I got the idea from someone like she's a TV producer named Lyric Perez. She was just like, you know, I never met this lady before, but before she told me about it, she was like, you know, I don't know, I see you doing these TikTok songs, these 1 minute videos. I don't know, something about you. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I just figured it out. Like, oh, all right, I'm actually good at this. So let me just do this, because again, I've never seen anybody do this. And on top of that, to answer your question, even further, you see all these Instagram comedians just doing videos off of their phone and just getting a bunch of clout. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, if I can do this with music, this will be, one, palatable just because of the attention span that we have now, making 1-minute videos. And this would just be, it's just refreshing in general. So I just wanted to see how I can do it. And then I just did it.
And that's key. How you're moving with the times, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And before I speak, shout out to Chris, because that's the main reason why we went to Nigga Retail, because Chris had reconstructed Nigga Retail. I just want to say that.
Shout out to Chris, man.
Definitely shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris.
Hell yeah. But you're moving with the times, bro.
Mm-hmm.
She was saying to you, I don't know, you're making these 1-minute TikTok music videos.
And this is something I didn't do. And she just said, like, I see you doing it.
Exactly. And she realized that. And that's, I was saying the same thing, because I went on your YouTube page and I'm watching your music videos and I'm like, yo, these shits is too short. Like, why are they only 1-minute songs? I'm thinking every time you posted a video on IGTV, there's more to it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I go on YouTube, it's the same thing. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? But it makes sense, bro, because people, what am I trying to say?
Our attention spans are a lot shorter?
Yeah, our attention spans are a lot shorter, and they get more from you. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, I could do another minute of Piff Marti. I could do another minute of Piff Marti, and it's art to your work too. And it's the visuals is so key. And also, I want to talk about the workout music video. The reason why I want to talk about this because the visuals, my man, the visuals is very important here. You turned a before and after picture, a body transformation, into a whole fucking music video, bro.
So that's what sparked me wanting to. That was another thing that sparked me wanting to do the videos in general. So at first, I wanted to do like a transformation video because I got big. I got the COVID-15. Like, you know, I got a little,
I got a little gun.
It's not freshman 15. It was COVID-15.
You know what I mean? I got a little big. Just
How you
a little
get
bit.
big? Let's talk about that.
Just like, bro. So during the whole pandemic, I was in the crib smoking weed and just eating food.
Munchies on deck
every day.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite?
Like honey buns, cereal, like big bowls of cereal. Just I'm eating everything. And this was when I was eating meat too. So I was just eating burgers every day. I was just eating a bunch of shit. But yeah, I wanted to do a transformation video, and it was just gonna be like a regular montage with just. Because I wanted to get on TikTok, so I was just like, how do I like make quality content on TikTok? And it was just going to be a regular montage with somebody else's song. And I'm like, yo, I could rap. Why don't I just make the song myself? And then I was like, oh, I can just make it about this. This would be real dope. I haven't seen this before. And I did that. It came out real fire. And I'm like, oh, I can just keep doing this with just a bunch of different topics because I have the capability to do it. And then it just sparked black hair. Then that sparked regular people and all these other
So
songs.
that's how it started. The type of, oh, wow.
That's what gave me the confidence to do it.
How long was that process, though?
To like 2 months. Because I had to lose the weight.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This motherfucker had a bear gut to a fucking 6-pack. Bro. And that's why I'm like, yo, how long did this take? You said 2 months?
Yeah.
That's really dope that you envisioned an idea for content and it actually led to you improving something in your real life. And that's something me and Mal talk about on this podcast all the time. Like, this shit, it's a podcast. We do a lot of shit for show because, you know what I mean? It's a show, it's performing arts. But it actually helps us do good shit in real life. And I don't know, how do you feel about this? Personally, with the podcast, I feel like every interaction, everything I do, I'm constantly thinking, how can this be content for the podcast? Do you think like that? Like everything in life, every interaction, every silly or funny or even sad thing that happens, like how can I flip this into some type of content?
No, I do think that because it's real shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you consume my content, you know that this is all things that people are either thinking or actually going through. So it's important to look at life like that because you can then put it in your art and then people can receive it in a way where it's not superficial. They can learn from it and can really like get better because of it. You know, that's the reason why I do what I do too. Because I mean, I used to do it just, you know, like for the same reason that everybody become a rapper. Money, clothes, hoes. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm like, as I got older, I didn't really care about that. You know what I mean? Like it's not that deep, and you can look into the past. Like everybody who's gotten big tell you that money isn't that important. All this shit is not important. So I'm gonna learn from those people's mistakes and try to redefine what my values are. And that's what led to me just making the type of content that I make. And I want to make important work. Like I say that I make music for people who don't know how to say what they feel. You know what I mean? Or don't know how to communicate it. And that's where I come in and then like, yo, this is exactly how I feel. Thank you. So
you just said a few things I want to touch on. Number one, everyone knows that. I feel like a lot of broke people don't know that, and I'm broke too. We're all broke in this room, but I feel like we have a better understanding that money doesn't bring happiness. It's unfortunate that you have to experience.
I'm gonna call cap on that, but go ahead.
What?
Oh, money doesn't bring happiness.
I think money alleviates a lot of sadness. I don't think it brings happiness. I actually think that's why when people get rich, they get really depressed because their whole life. I'm saying I'm not saying you have to get depressed when you get money. But if you are one of these people that think money's going to bring happiness and then you get it and you realize, oh, it's not adding any sort of meaning or fulfillment to my everyday life, you get depressed. It's like, what the fuck now? What now? I think the answer to that is doing shit that actually fulfills you, right?
Yeah, it's a big.
But if what fulfills you costs money, like here's the thing. And you kind of said it, like it alleviates sadness. And the sadness comes from you not being able to afford certain things. And when you get the money, you have the time. Money buys time. So once you get the time, you will be able to then go into what you want to do. Now, material things, like, or just things that are flashy and things that you can show off, don't bring the happiness. But money can be a key to the happiness that you're looking for.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? But money isn't everything.
I think a lot of people misuse it, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
They misuse it for just as you said, the material shit, vacation, even to buy friends, and then you get further away from that actual happiness. You know what I mean? And that's when you fucking hit rock bottom because it's like, damn, I've been living this lie for so long, and I really don't know what I want to do.
That's when you don't know yourself too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You let money. That's letting something else control you. If you let something else control you, you ain't never gonna be happy in life.
And you know what I realized? I've never heard a guy like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or any of them come out and say that they're unhappy. And I think that's for a reason. I think when it comes to rap and sports and stuff, a lot of people make money easy. It's kind of easy money, you know what I mean? If you have a talent, you put in the work, you're gonna get rich. And then the rest of your life, you're kind of like, oh, what the fuck do I actually like? With guys like Jeff Bezos and them, I think their life, how can I say this? Like, their life is set up in such a way in which they're achieving things, and that brings a happiness. So when they get the money, they kind of already feel fulfilled. Does that make sense?
No, I see what you're saying.
Like, for those guys to make money, they have to actually apply themselves. And usually they're doing something they really love.
And they get that fulfillment from that.
And that's why no matter if you have 100 billion, I'm not gonna stop because the money is not what's gonna bring happiness. It's the application of myself every day. It's achieving things that brings me intrinsic happiness that I'm intrinsically motivated to do, and I think that's where it comes from.
And that's why it's important to know who you are before you get money. So because once you get money and you don't know who you are, you're gonna end up spending it on a bunch of things that don't satisfy your heart or your spirit. So knowing yourself and just like knowing the people around you, knowing what your values are will be very, very important. Because like once you get money, you can now use that to heighten and amplify what you already know about yourself and all the values that you have too.
Yes.
And you can find like, you know, what you fuck with.
They always say what you do with a little bit of money is what you're gonna do with a lot of money. So those behaviors are just gonna be amplified. That's actually one of the things I wanted to ask you. Like when I was going through your YouTube your YouTube page a few days ago, and obviously the content has changed. You just told us how you came up with this new content. I know, like 3 years ago when you were making did you have a song called Relentless? Is that the name of it? Represent. I love that song. But it's like, okay, that's a completely different Piff Marti. That's a great song. But do you feel like if you had gotten rich back then, you would have ever been able to evolve to the point where you are at now?
No, because like you heard it before. When you don't have money, you got to get creative with it. So me not having the necessary funds to pay a videographer or pay for studio time all the time made me get resourceful and use my phone and get a tripod and just like learn how to shoot it myself. And if I had gotten big back then, I probably would have take for granted the hard work. Because before I wasn't really working that hard. You know what I mean? I wasn't, I'll just go to the studio, lay something down, make a cool song, and then if I got big back then, I probably wouldn't work hard anymore.
Right.
But because I developed a work ethic, because I hadn't gotten big, now I'm able to keep going and sustain that even if when I do get money. Because I think I'm gonna make a lot of money from what I do and things outside of that. But because I already have that work ethic, I could keep going. I could keep doing this. And yes, I'm a different person too. And just based on the content that I make too, it's just everything is different. I've grown as a person. I've gotten older. I've been through shit and learned from shit. And I'm just a little bit more mature. So now I can attack anything that I do with a lot more wisdom and a lot more just a clearer vision.
Grounded. You're grounded.
I'm grounded.
You're confident in the steps that you make, and you know why you're taking those steps.
Mm-hmm. Before I was just I'll be candid and transparent. I was pretty insecure. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing music for not all the right reasons. Yeah, I wanted to be famous.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck about fame. No. You know what I mean? Like being famous gives you money, it brings money, but it doesn't bring you like peace of mind. I value peace of mind now. And because of that, once I stopped caring about all this shit, once I stopped caring about likes, once I stopped caring about views, I started getting them. You know what I mean?
It's crazy you love Andrew Schultz. He says that exactly in podcasts. He was like, bro, I always wanted to get a fucking a comedy special from Netflix. All these different guys. And when I finally said, fuck y'all, I'm about to please the people and do it for myself, everything came. And that's a life lesson. That's a life lesson. I forgot something I was just about to say. Damn, I completely forgot.
That's all right. You smoke?
I dibble and dabble.
I getting old too. That's another thing too.
You play football.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, in college, I used to smoke a lot.
That'll do it.
I was a big smoker. The thing is, I have a love-hate relationship with smoking. I'm not someone who could be productive when I smoke. I'm lazy as fuck. I want to eat mad shit, and I just want to watch TV. Like, do nothing productive. But when I have a really good trip, and I appreciate my trips now, I used to just get me anxious. My trips usually lead me to very good thoughts. And then when I get sober,
when I
let it. Now I've been able to let it take its course because I don't think too much. I just personally have to get outside where there's not a lot of people and just walk around. I have to do that. And then thoughts start coming. Oh shit, you're not, you know what I mean? Certain things, like I was telling Malcolm a few podcasts ago, I feel like I wasn't being kind enough to the world. And I never realized that until I got high as shit. And I'm like, yo, you always arguing with Malcolm. You always like, you're always kind of being a dick when your mom talks to you. Not that I'm rude to my mom, but it's like, I'm not as kind as I need to be. And I would have never been able to come to that realization if I didn't get high as shit. So for me personally, I realized the fucking value in some good weed, man.
That's the thing about drugs.
Like, word. Like,
quality.
You know, it's funny it's funny that you called it a trip. I never heard anybody call a weed high a trip.
For me, it's trippy as fuck. I go into the dark hole sometimes when it comes to weed. Like,
and that's the great thing about it too, though. Like, cause it can be used to like pacify things and make you not want to think about the certain things that you need to think about. But that will make people stay addicted. The way that you use it, or I don't know if you still use it that way, you're trying to unlock something.
Yes.
You're trying to find some truth, trying to find something that can make you grow. You know what I mean? And it could be scary too, though. Because like it will, like all kinds of drugs do, and I think sometimes I consider weed as a psychedelic based depending on how you use it.
1000% is. Unless you're always high and you've built up such a tolerance that you don't experience that.
Right.
If you're like a regular smoker, it's definitely a psychedelic.
And if you use it right and you just like let your thoughts come to you, you're gonna get a lot of epiphanies. But again, you gotta let yourself get there. And then anxiety attacks come when you don't. Like when these thoughts come, you like trying to like pack them in. That's when the anxiety attacks come. That's when the bad highs come. So it's dope that you did that. Like a lot of people don't really talk about weed in that way.
No, you know for me, and that's why I had to stop smoking because I was addicted. I'll say it straight up. I was addicted. I started smoking weed with tobacco, and that really like locked me in.
With the Fronto leaf? Or just
bro,
tobacco?
I used to take games. Like, this is what I used to do. Like, I used to, you've rolled games before, right?
No, I don't know that.
You never rolled a game? A backwood?
Yeah, but I don't. That was like years ago.
But you know, like the guts from the backwood, I would keep that, dry it out, and then when I rolled my weed, it would be like half weed, half tobacco. And to me, that shit was amazing because you get high.
It feels good.
You get lightheaded and shit. Like you feel like you on a cloud, bro. Like that's literally one of the best.
You really
feelings.
feel high.
Yeah, you feel high, but you also it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but
that's dirty.
Have you done psychedelics?
No, but I'm not gonna say I want to, but based on how I feel about weed and how it can help you, I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice if I never did it.
If you didn't, right?
Yeah. But I don't. It's tough. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that.
The thing about psychedelics, and I've done LSD. I haven't done mushrooms or anything like that. I would like to try it just to figure out, what it does. But the thing about psychedelics, it acts as like this key to unlock things in your mind that you probably either try to not think about or need to think about. Like it gives you some truth. And one thing, and if I could put give it this one sentence or one liner, it helps you feel the things that you already understand. You know
but
what I mean?
Pay no attention to.
Pay no attention to.
Can you talk about your trip?
Yeah, so I had taken it, like I was just doing. I found it real fascinating. Like I used to like think badly of it just because of the community. Like black people don't want to do extra shit. You know what I mean? Like that's the white people shit. You know what I mean?
Just like that too.
But it was interesting to me just because of like different artists that did it, like Jimi Hendrix or A$AP Rocky. They would talk about it in a way where it doesn't sound like it's like bad,
like a druggy kind of thing.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I did it with intention. I meditated. I did it with my girl. I did it. Okay. We meditated before because I read that if you need to like really like be present or else you're gonna have a bad trip. So I did that. We did that.
So you already was meditating like weeks before. This was like a daily.
No, right before. No.
Oh, so it's your first time meditating?
No, it wasn't my first time.
Okay.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I meditated. I don't do it as much anymore, but I was meditating like frequently before I had done it too. So I was already like in a present space. And you definitely have to be present if you want to have a good trip. But one of the most memorable things about it was I had went to the roof at nighttime just to look at the stars because that's somebody on YouTube said like you understand space differently when you're on LSD, right? We went to the roof. I looked in the sky. It was like hour 6 of the trip, right? I look into the sky and I felt myself floating in space with Earth and rotating. And it's something that you already understand, like, yo, we're in space. We're in space right now. You know what I mean? But you kind of, I felt it though. Like I felt like I saw the edge of Earth, and Earth is, I'm not a flat earther, but I felt like I
know what you're saying.
You know
like
what I mean?
like you're kind of outside of it, kind of thing, experiencing it.
Yeah, but I'm in it though.
Yeah.
And I felt it, and that's what I meant by things like that you already understand, but you feel it. So just imagine that with just anything that you do. You know what I mean? It helped me understand certain things that I would say like when you get older, you kind of lose that your brain isn't the neuroplasticity. You don't really like learn things anymore. Things aren't new to you anymore.
Exactly.
But when you are on LSD, things are new. Things are vibrant. You're able to receive things in a way that your ego wouldn't let you before. Just for whatever reason, whatever predispositions you had. When you're on LSD, you say fuck all that. I'm ready for what the world is trying to give me. It's crazy.
That's
the world.
It's amazing.
You use the exact word I was thinking about, ego, right? And for me, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I smoke weed, this is what happens to me. Maybe not on a heavy level, but that's why we just kind of like a psychedelic to me, because we all experience things, right? Like young black men, like we have to be so fucking tough just to make it through this world that we live in, and we create these really like hard exteriors, and we're kind of like concrete, and we don't let things penetrate us anymore. It's very few things we let penetrate us. Pause. No homo.
And that's an example of it, though.
Word.
No, but you pausing it is an example of something not penetrating. You know
absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's like, yeah, go on though.
And we're so blind to, as you said, things we know, things we should understand, things that are going to make us better men, better husbands, better sons. But as we said, that hard exterior, which is extremely beneficial. I understand why we have it, but when you get on these trips, it's like, oh shit, I've been doing myself a disservice the whole time by not allowing certain things to penetrate me, by not allowing certain emotions to come into me. Like, I kind of treat my girlfriend like shit. Like, why am I always angry every time she speaks to me? Like, I'm being a dick. Things that you're so set in your way of living, you just kind of go like, this is how I am. This bitch is annoying. Like, whatever it may be,
and then you be like, maybe I'm wilding.
Yeah,
but you're not like, oh, I'm wilding.
Yeah, exactly,
you know
exactly. But when you get in that trip, it's like, I'm wilding.
Yeah.
I'm wilding.
Yeah.
Like, word.
She right. I need to listen to her.
Yeah.
It do be like that.
And that's the thing. Like, it's crazy because drugs at the same time, like, kind of like limits your emotions, but it also heightens it at the same time too. You know what I mean?
What kind of drugs are we talking?
I'm not like weed, psychedelics. I mean, I've never done coke or meth or anything like that, so I can't speak towards that. You know what I mean? But those kind of drugs, like, I'm not gonna say LSD actually, but weed, like, sometimes a lot of people smoke it just to like not feel anything, but then you end up feeling everything
right after. you back into reality when you come back from your.
If you let it though.
I'm emotional as fuck on weed, bro. I remember one time, and number one,
this. But probably because you're emotional as fuck in general.
I'm an emotional person.
You know what I mean?
Which is a good thing and a bad thing.
If you can't control it.
I can't control my emotions. I know why it is, and that's why I'm working on it right now. You know what I mean? Everything comes from things that we experience as kids. But one time I got high as fuck in Brooklyn. And mind you, I really don't smoke in Brooklyn. Like, I usually smoke. First of all, the weed out here is too hot.
Gas.
Bro, oh my God.
Straight loud pack. Yeah.
Are they putting something in the weed out here?
Probably.
Bro, I will take one hit, bro. High for 6-7 hours.
That rapper weed.
You can't smoke that
bro.
Shit, it's
bro.
like,
that's
what?
That's what Nick be saying, bro. I'm not smoking this rapper weed.
No, nigga, I'm not smoking Brooklyn weed. Send me that shit from upstate, nigga. Come on. Let me get that low grade. I don't know why people hate Reg so much.
Reggie is so fire, bro. It's not so far, but it's like it does what it needs to do.
Do the job, and that's the thing. Like, I'm spilling all the beans right now. My mom gonna be like, "What the fuck, Nick?" But when I went to Trinidad the last time, their weed is all homegrown. You know what I mean?
Same with Jamaica.
And you smoke it, and it's like, oh, this is what weed is supposed to be.
That's what
like.
it's supposed to be.
You supposed to be cool, calm, relaxed, and not feel retarded, and not feel anxious. That's what the weed do to you. And you know what's similar to that? CBD.
Yeah,
have you ever smoked?
Oh yeah.
That's what I smoke. CBD feel like what weed is supposed to be like. You know what I mean?
That's what I smoke primarily.
Really, CBD.
Okay. Like, I don't even smoke. Like, I'll take a puff or two of like THC, but I don't smoke whole blunts anymore, or half a blunt either. Even
I've never been a facer. I think I've faced one blunt my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't need to. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I don't have the tolerance to do that because I don't smoke weed that much in general. But CBD gives you that same feeling, that body high. Not even body high, just that relaxation, that stress relief that you get without the psychoactive effect.
And you get enough psychoactive to be like, oh, I smoke some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not like you're like,
exactly. You don't look like it. I'm good.
Like, you know what I mean?
You could do what you got to do for the day.
You know what I first and this is why I used to feel guilty smoking weed, because if I got really high and my mom calls me, anybody call me, I can't answer because nigga, I know I'm high. I'm not about to sound like Nick Johnson. I'm about to sound wild as fuck. And with CBD, I realized, like, even though I might feel high, I could just talk like regular. It's kind of automatic. You know what I mean? But what was I saying? I was saying something.
You were talking about weed. How it helps you with your feelings.
So I smoked the weed in Brooklyn and took one hit, bro. Like, I already smoked real small blunts, so I'd probably take like a quarter of a dime and roll that. Took one hit, was high as hell for like 4 or 5 hours. And I remember just sitting down in my apartment by myself, and I'm like, yo, I really love my mom, yo. And I did start crying like, yo, this woman birthed me. This woman loves me. She's done everything for me. She suffered for me. And it's like, yo, I just love her. And I had to call her, bro. I just had to call her and be like, yo, ma, I deadass love you. Like, you need me to come pick you up from work and shit. Like, that's how emotional I get sometimes.
That was a calling, probably.
Yeah.
And she probably needed to get picked up from work. She needed that phone call.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, word. And it kind of made me understand, like, even to this day, it's carried on. Like, yo, you just need to appreciate your mother a little bit more. Even though I already appreciate her, but sometimes,
again, feeling what you understand already.
And sometimes, and so this comes from both perspectives, right? Mm-hmm. As a person, like for example, if you're feeling a little bit insecure, you've been an insecure person before. I'm sure we all have in some type of way. Mm-hmm. You experience life through your insecurities. Mm-hmm. And for example, say you have a girlfriend and she loves the shit out of you, but she's not expressing it the way that you want to receive it. Mm-hmm. You're not even going to know that she loves you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be hurt. Like, this bitch don't care about me. Meanwhile, she's worrying about what the fuck she has going on in her life. Her boss was just rude to her. She came home with an attitude and you're feeling some type of way like, this bitch don't love me.
And you take it personally.
You take it personal. Mm-hmm. And I think we all need to understand that we all have insecurities. Mm-hmm. And when we communicate with people, we should try to make it as clear as possible how we feel about them.
Without projecting.
And understanding that I know I love my mom, but maybe I'm not loving her in a way that she can readily receive the love and understand. Right? Because at the end of the day, bro, like when you love someone and when you appreciate someone, the goal is to make them feel that. Right? Just loving them inside is not enough. I want you to feel the love I have for you. So, babe, come on, let's go. And I like what you do with your girl. You treat your girl nice all the time. And you know what I mean? I'm sure Serena feels loved by you.
That's a fact. You gotta take care of your lady. I don't know much to say about it, but yeah, that's really it. Everything you said, bro. You want her to feel that she's loved and being taken care of.
And people experience love in different ways, right? So, and it's always based on how they grow up. So the way that you receive love or didn't receive love will end up showing in the way that you give love. And it's important to be like cognizant of that too. And that's probably that experience. That's probably what you experienced with your mom, or if in any relationship that you had, like, yo, I am doing something that was done to me, or I'm doing something that I think needs to be done because I didn't experience it in a way that I was supposed to, you know? So it's all love language.
Have you ever experienced a relationship failing because of that? Two people loving differently?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you grow up differently, and you experience love in a different way. Like for me, with my parents, I didn't get much affectionate love. So I wasn't used to receiving affection. I would receive it in a way where like, oh, you all right? This is cool, but I don't know how to take it in because I didn't experience it. Like the way that I experienced love, or what I thought was love, wasn't the best way. Like it was a lot of like, you know, like just negativity. And I would look for that in my relationships too. So if I did see it in my relationship, if I did see it in somebody I found attractive, oh, this is where I need to be. And I would end up just not being with people. The fuck.
That's a big ass fly. That shit.
and I would end up being in toxic relationships just because I was I had a toxic relationship with my parents. This is what I grew up being used to. And once I did get into a relationship that was actually healthy, I didn't know how to receive it. And so I had to like learn how to do it. And that's one of the things that LSD helped me with too, just learning how to receive it in a way that although I wasn't used to, I can learn how to be used to it.
How are you actively learning about that? How are you actively working on yourself, knowing that that's a thing about yourself?
Just choosing to. So one thing that we make mistakes of doing as humans is just letting ourselves just be, which is good and bad too. Bad too because it takes away accountability. Yes. It makes you say, "Oh, this is how I am. Yes. This is what I do." You know what I mean? I can't help it. This is what it is. No, but you feel me though?
Yeah, like 100%.
But once you choose to love, like just using my example, I chose to love. You know what I mean? I had to make that active decision because love is an action. It's a verb. Loving. You know what I mean? So you have to do it. Even though it is a feeling, you do have to actively do it continuously. And that helped me a lot.
And you saying that's how I am too. Like I would talk to Serena and I'll tell her like, yo, this is just how I am. It's either you like it or you don't.
Right.
But I am coming to the realization that it's okay. It's fine to be like that, but you have to have a balance of having that guard up. This is who I am. You're gonna like it or not. And then there was a point where you got to be emotional to her, of listening to her and expressing yourself more. You understand what I'm saying? And like we're gonna go out to eat later on tonight, but it's just me and her. I'm trying to express myself more of what can I talk about, what can I speak about. You understand what I'm saying? And showing love and showing and being caring. like you said.
And if you're not like that naturally, it's hard. Like I'm not like that naturally.
Yeah.
I have to, and I'm still learning to be like that. If I could be transparent, I'm still learning how to be that way. But I had to choose to do it. Yeah. I'm naturally selfish. You know what I mean? Like,
you Aries?
No, I'm a Cancer, Leo cusp. I don't know.
Okay.
My birthday's on the last day of Cancer, but on my birth chart it says I'm a Leo. So I don't know. It depends on how I feel that day. Okay. I'll tell you what I am. You know what I mean? Today I'm a Cancer.
All right.
So, but I'm naturally selfish. I have to learn to be selfless. I have to learn to think of others. Because, you know, and that's kind of on brand for an artist, you know, being egotistical and just being self-serving. But again, something I had to learn to not do.
What about the feeling you get when, let's say, your friends crack a joke on you? I'm trying to bring a perfect example to this. Mm-hmm. Perfect example would be like, yo, I'm gonna be here at 2:30, right? And you don't get there at 2:30. Your friends crack a joke, like, oh, this man said he gonna be at 2:30. Do you feel offended?
I guess I used to. I used to think take things personally all the time.
Yeah.
But it's not that deep.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I had to learn how to make jokes about myself or take jokes on myself too, because I would be cracking jokes too. I'll be a hypocrite if I take things personally. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I only ask you that because you said you're a selfish person, and I deal with that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like there's a recent incident, and my friend said, "Oh, we're gonna be at 2:30," and I was listening to a podcast, and the gentleman was talking about, yo, answer a joke with a joke.
Yeah.
Answer a joke with a joke. So I'm like, I'm trying to think of a joke. All right, what joke can I say now just to make this whole shit funny?
Right.
Instead of taking it,
being tight.
Being
like there's no reason to be mad. Because then at the end of the day, like, these are your friends. Just because they say something doesn't mean, like, because I think when you do take it personally, it's actually an active example of your insecurity. Yeah. And you're just projecting. You're projecting, oh damn, I am late, so maybe I'm not this good of a person. But you're not actively thinking about that. Your reaction because of your pride is making you react that way. So you react, you just get tight. Like, why would you say that? Mm-hmm. When really you just mad because you kind of think this about yourself.
Yes.
And you're like, oh shit. But you don't think that in the moment because of your ego and pride. Yeah. It just be like that.
And number one, responding to an insult with a joke, as you said, you should respond to it with a joke too, because there's power in that.
Or just laugh.
And just laugh, because you know what? Self-deprecation is one of the best things anyone could develop. And another thing about taking things personally is it's one of the most stupidest things you can do, because like we all exist in different worlds, right? Mm-hmm. We in our minds is like we are a world within ourselves. And the way I view my world is not the way you view your world, depending on what's going on in my life. So, insult or just a regular statement directed at you is not. I probably don't mean it the way that you're going to interpret it, right? And
shit probably got nothing to do with you.
Exactly.
Even though you're in it, it probably don't got.
That person is probably angry. His wife probably just fucking cheated on him, and now you're taking on that insecurity.
Right. There's this book called The Four Agreements. Have you heard of it? Oh,
I was just about to read it.
We got a whole YouTube clip.
We got a whole YouTube clip. Come on, that's how crazy it is. But go ahead, tell the people about it.
That book is my Bible, because it actually is one of the main reasons. We were talking about my growth earlier. That is one of the reasons why I grew. Just reading that book. For those that don't know what the Four Agreements is, it's a book that's based on these four principles. It's written by Don Miguel Ruiz, and he takes these four principles from the Toltecs. It was these group of people in I forgot, I don't remember what time period, but yeah. And the four agreements are don't take things personally, always do your best, be impeccable with your word, and don't make assumptions, right? The two that most people have a problem with is don't make assumptions and don't take things personally, right? The way to help with that, and to talk about what we were just talking about not taking it personally, is just understand that everything people do has nothing to do with you. Nobody is doing it. Everybody has their own story.
Yes.
And people do things because that's just how they view the world. If you take it personally, that's your ego speaking. It's like, I am so important that what this person is doing is because of me.
Yeah.
And they're not recognizing me. I need to be the most important thing in this room. And if you're doing something that fucks me over, or if you compliment me, it's only because of me. It's because I'm the biggest thing in this room. So taking things personally is not only something that you shouldn't do when it comes to negative things. It also has to do with positive things. You can't take compliments personally, because that means it will feed your ego, and then you'll end up living your life looking down at people inadvertently.
You know what happens? You fall harder. Like, if you take compliments, like, say,
Mm-hmm.
I really value your opinion, and you're just giving me compliments, and that shit is hyping me up, and I'm on the top of the world. As soon as you say something bad, my world is pulled out from under me, and you fall even harder. That's why I shout out to Charlamagne the God. Like, you're never as good as they say you are. You're never as bad as they say you are. And
you just are.
Yeah, you should be.
You feel me?
And one of the important things that you said was, your insecurity is kind of a reflection on how you feel about yourself. So, like, if you are a person where you taking care of business and you working hard as fuck, if someone says something good, it's like, all right, bro. Yeah, I know I'm doing it. It's like when somebody lose a bunch of weight and everybody's like, yo, bro, you look so good. Like, yeah, nigga, I know. I did that. Like, motherfucker, I did that. Yeah. Right.
That's why it's important to have, like, good self-esteem, because nothing anybody says will affect you. It won't raise you. It won't lower you. You just know what you are. So you can just say thank you and then keep it pushing.
The good and the bad.
And that's the thing about it too. Like, once you start not taking things personally, then it's on you to, like, have that self-esteem, because now nothing can affect you except yourself. So if you have a low self-esteem and you don't take things personally, it's gonna fuck you over too, because you're just in your head talking bad on yourself. But if you think highly of yourself, nothing would affect you, and then you're just able to just move seamlessly through life.
Dope. One of my favorite songs by you is Uni. And as soon as I listen to that song, I'm like, oh shit, this brother is on a different level. This nigga is thinking crazy. How did that come about?
So I always advocate for education, but not in the way that has been presented to us over the years, and that's through higher education. Now, I was one of those kids who got C's and D's and 65s and 55s all the time, but I'm not dumb. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not stupid. I just don't want to have to prove to you that I've learned what you taught me. I think the education system is flawed. It was based on how factories used to be, and where not everybody wants to work in a factory anymore. There's people that have creative and that want to be creatives, want to be entrepreneurs, want to do anything that doesn't have to do with structure, or the structure that we were taught, right?
Yes.
But because we're sold this all the time, it makes people fucked up, and it makes people go to college not knowing what they want to do, but paying $40,000 a year just because people said they need to do it.
I'm an example of that.
And you talking about that? That's so. I got a marketing degree, right? And then I came home, did the life insurance like I was telling you. Did some sales marketing job. This sales marketing job, did the life insurance, and I'm like, all right, these shit suck. I'm gonna go coach football, right? He was like, yo, go be a teacher assistant, right? Fine, teacher assistant. And the whole time I'm talking to Jonathan, right? I'm like, yo, I don't really know if I want to be a teacher, for the same reason what you just said, because you don't want to put a box around the kid's mind. You want him to think freely. You understand what I'm saying? I'm teaching this. I know he's not gonna care.
Even though that's not your intention to be a teacher, but the system that you're gonna be in promotes that.
Exactly. And now even today, I'm a teacher assistant right now. You understand what I'm saying? But certain kids, you realize it's like, yo, I'm not gonna get to you. You look at me however this way. I'm at this point where, like, yo, I don't want to deal with these type of kids. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to deal with this.
Like,
yeah, keep it
teachers don't admit that, but you know what I mean?
Exactly. But like, I'm keeping on. I don't want to deal with a student like you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how I look teaching, and we know how to be a student too in college, just on my phone. Like, come on, how you look teaching and someone's on your phone? That means what you're saying really is not important, and what's on here is more important. So that's why I'm fading away from that for that reason. But everything you said is right. Like, you don't. What school does is based off a factory. There hasn't been no change ever since, and we've seen the change right now with technology,
like
especially for the colleges
and everything. I just know personally that most of the things that I've learned that I'm using was from the internet. A lot of the things I learned in school aren't things that I'm really implementing in what I do, and I think it's just I think it's just weird that you turn 18 or whenever you graduate high school, you know, people, you know, when you turn 18 and you're forced to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And by way of college, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to go into all of this debt. Most people, a lot of people are in 80. The average debt is like 70, 80K. You know what I mean? And I think, I forgot the statistic. I think 61, only 27% of people who graduated college are actually in the field that they majored in. You know what I mean? So the other 73% either dropped out or are not in that field. And that's because, you know, because they chose a major that they realize is not what they want to do, or their parents forced them to go to school, or they just, you know, they just don't want to. Shit change. People change, and you're making a big decision at such a young age that ultimately affects the rest of your life. And I think the hardest part of it is the amount of debt that you accrue while going to college. I think that's the biggest problem. There's nothing wrong with being taught anything. There's nothing wrong with education, but having to pay so much money to do something in an age where y'all can just learn this on the internet. I can get my phone and just learn what you're telling me. It's bad. And it sorry to, I know you.
No, you're good.
And it promotes I just don't want to have to prove to you that I learned what you taught me. Mm-hmm. And there's so much stress that comes with it. There's just so much stress that comes with going to college. Now, I'm not to say college isn't good. There's a lot of good things that come with college, like the people that you meet, you know what I mean? Or the amount of programs that you're able to, there's things that you learn that you probably wouldn't have learned if you didn't go to college just because of where you live. But at the same time, you're paying so much money to get this. It doesn't, the reward isn't, it doesn't balance with the risk
on a large scale.
On a very large scale.
That's my issue. Like, a lot of people say college is a business. What does that mean? Like most businesses, they start off with a good intention and they serve a very specific purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Like, maybe when the computer was first created, it was created for the military to use for very specific, like, tactical reasons. Mm-hmm. Then everything becomes mass produced and they try to get everybody with it, even though you really don't need it, right? Mm-hmm. College, and you said it in your song too, like, if you want to be a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, I get it.
Yes.
College is for you.
This is what you need to do.
And I think colleges realized that and was like, okay, how do we expand this to just get people to spend money with us? Mm-hmm. That really doesn't mean anything. And I think that's why you have, it's almost like a status symbol. Mm-hmm. Like, you ever heard of a parent talking about their kid? It is a status symbol. And I think that's the manipulation of that system. I think that's how they market it.
And they know that.
They know
that. Like, I went to college because my mom wanted me to go to college, and I went. Like, I didn't go immediately after I graduated high school, but I ended up going. But once I was there, I was like, yo, this is not what I want to do. My career doesn't have anything to do with this. I'm doing this simply because, you know, of outside opinions. And a lot of people are in college because of that.
We need to take a quick break. I got to call Priest. That shit just cut off.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah, call him off. Sorry, guys. We had to take a quick intermission. The camera cut out, but we are back. What were we talking about? College. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think I was saying, man, I think it's just a lot of people are making really bad decisions. They're putting themselves in a box. They're putting themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt just to achieve a status symbol so your mom can say, yeah, my son has this degree. Mm-hmm. And that, listen,
that's
bro,
what it's become.
That's what it's become. Like, my mom is one of the smartest women in the world, right? And I'm happy I went to college. She definitely forced me to go to college, but I wanted to go to college too. So that was like a partnership thing. But after I graduated college, and I'm like, okay, I need to make money, first of all, because I'm tired of being broke. Mm-hmm. But I also want to figure out what I actually want to do. And she's like, no, you need to start your master's degree now. You need to do this. You need to do that. Number one, my mom is not very forceful, but you feel the pressure. Like, Nick, you need to go to school. Nick, I think one time she threatened to kick me out of her house if I wasn't going back to school. And I'm like, I have a strong personality, so I'm not going to let that take over. But it's like, I don't know. You just have to give people, especially young people, the ability to figure out what they want to do without putting that pressure on them. And I think the parents are a big part of that. I was going to say my mom is very smart, and everything she's taught me in life, I agree with. Mm-hmm. Literally, now that I have graduated and she wants me to go to grad school, this is the only thing I tell her. Like, yo, I don't like how you move on this. Like, this is not, because education saved you, it might not be my path. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what parents need to understand, because where they come from, education was the gold card. It was the key to everything. In our generation, it's not.
It's not.
It could play a role, but it's not the whole. It's not everything.
But there's a lot more. Not play a role too.
Yeah, I think it's a certain education though. Because I'm starting to realize, like when I was looking at studying for the LSAT, I'm starting to realize, like reading on Don Peebles. Like he went to what's these schools called? Not
charter school.
Charter schools, yeah, like smaller, and they actually teach you college stuff. And then I'm starting to looking at the high school I went, and I worked there too, and the teachers is there. Yeah, they're there to do their job, and they're gonna excel with the student that's gonna excel. But I'm starting to think, yo, all these kids should not be in one school. There shouldn't be 25 kids in one classroom. You shouldn't mix everything up like this. It's just too much going on for these kids. It's too much going on for these teachers. It's a point where the teacher job is to just get the kid to graduate. No matter what, if they do all their work or not, they'll be like, yo, you don't even have to do all your work. You're a senior. You're ready to go. Just go.
And it also don't matter what you're teaching too, because the curriculum that's being taught now is what worked 50 years ago. It doesn't work the same in 2020. The things that we are learning. Well, and I haven't been in high school since 2011. Yeah. But at the same time, when I was learning high school, I'm 27.
You graduated in 2011? Mm-hmm. Damn, that's a fact. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, we old. So
big fact.
But we're being taught things that made sense to learn in the 1960s. It's 2020. There's so many things that need to be taught that's conducive to living a good life. You know what I mean? Like learning credit, learning tax, learning about taxes, learning life stuff. Why don't we learn life things in college? Why everything is mechanical?
Do you think there's a real conspiracy to make us as dumb as possible so that we are made kind of slaves to the system, like with credit? If they taught us to, let's be honest, America runs off a lot of debt, right? Mm-hmm. Just like in New York City, they're giving you tickets everywhere because that is a real part of the income of the city, and the city probably wouldn't really be able to function without it. Mm-hmm. Are they purposely trying to keep us dumb so that they could make money off of everybody going in debt?
I don't think it's as black and white as that. So, for instance, the credit system that's being used now was started in 1988, 89. So it's fairly new. It's relatively new. Whereas the curriculum that we're learning now was stuff that was implemented in the early 1900s, right? So I don't think there was time. They don't want to revamp the education system. So that's probably why that a credit class isn't in the system. But that's another reason. But I also do think that it's something that they don't want people to know, because the more people that know it, the less the more competition that there is, and then it's oversaturated. So I think it's a little bit of both.
The more self-reliant we become, and the government wants us to rely on them.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so big on, like, self-education is very important, but a strong household too. Because people, you don't learn it in school, but then people, again, start their own family,
right,
and they don't know shit.
Right.
And it's just a non-ending cycle. So, you know, it's either you got to change your mindset too. Like when you get older, you know, you go through high school, you get older, you really have to change your mindset and learn these things on your own so you could teach your kids, just so they won't be a victim to the whole system. You understand?
That's why I don't completely blame. I don't just like blame the schools and everything, like, because at the same time I have to have accountability. So if the schools aren't teaching me this, I need to still figure out where I need to learn it. You know what I mean? So I do need to take responsibility. Everybody needs to still take responsibility regardless of what the system is, because a bunch of systems are broken. That don't mean that you don't need to still find out. But at the same time, the system does need to be fixed.
And that's why Earn Your Leisure is about the... I'm telling you, Earn Your Leisure... Are you familiar with Earn Your Leisure? Mm-mm. So Earn Your Leisure is one gentleman is a financial advisor. His name is Rashad, and the other gentleman name is Troy Millens, and he's the actual teacher. They work up in the Bronx over there, up in that area. But they basically just interview all businessmen. And like this dude named Wall Street Trapper, who actually teaches you like on an episode, bro. All this shit is free. He teaches you about the stock market. Every Monday, they do Market Mondays at 8 p.m. where they have Ian Dunlap, who's like a genius with the stock market, and they just go over shit.
On your leisure?
Yeah, on your leisure. But they had a gentleman on Market Mondays who literally started crying, bro. Break it down, because he was like, yo, y'all really like my big brother. He felt so emotional that he was able to speak to them, and they didn't help him out, bro. And they was like, yo, put your Cash App in the comments below. Ian Dunlap gave him money, Rashad, all of that, bro. And these people are like, big brothers, and that's why it's so important, because people are realizing like, yo, I don't need to learn this in school. I need to learn credit.
I need to learn money.
And money, bro. Money is really one of the most important things, and it's crazy how
this country works. It's how the world works. Exactly. But I need to learn how money works. Everything else comes secondary. It's important, but money is how people are able to sustain life.
Yep.
Here, at least.
Just to be a devil's advocate, right? Because we're talking about how the school system is broken and stuff, and I kind of agree. But I don't know if this is the right thing to say. I think majority of people in any given society is lazy. Y'all agree with that?
Is it laziness?
I would say most people have lazy tendencies, and that's why most people don't become billionaires, and most people end up working in a warehouse for a billionaire.
But it depends. I see what you're saying, but lazy is subjective. Laziness is subjective. Like, so say for instance, somebody just wants to be in their basement and just paint. That's what makes them happy. But because they have to make money to do that, and they probably don't even want to make money from their art. They just want to do that. They just want to paint all day. It doesn't mean that they're lazy. It's just that they're in a system that doesn't serve what they want to do. So I see what you're saying. Go ahead.
I guess what I was trying to say is that I think the school system does play a very important role, because I agree 1,000%. You can learn anything from any class in the world on YouTube. YouTube is it's every piece of knowledge on there. How strict or what type of level are people going to hold themselves accountable to the point where they actually go learn that stuff? I think that's a very small percentage. And I guess if there's a sliding scale of laziness, and I'm not going to say everyone's at the bottom, but I think a lot of people are at a level where they need someone to push them. Right? And I think a school provides that for example, college, it provides that structure where you have a teacher on top of you. Your paper is due in 2 weeks. So get on top of it.
But what are they teaching? That's the thing. The content is the problem, not the lack of structure. I think the structure is needed. I think it is necessary, because some people don't. People just don't want to do it themselves, and it just be like that. But what is the content that you're teaching them? How is this gonna help me? You know what I mean? That's the issue with it. It's not just the system. There's different issues, but one of the bigger issues is just, why am I learning this? What am I learning this for? Can I learn something that actually helps me?
Does the college system need a competitor?
They are having competitors.
I think they do. But yeah, they do. Even if they did get a competitor, I think they're too stuck in their ways.
A competitor that an employer would respect. Like when you go with a bachelor's degree or master's degree, someone's like, okay, you clearly know something. We're going to hire you. Do you think that there's maybe something like, for example, Earn Your Leisure could create a class where you do earn a certificate, and if you want a finance job, based on experience and based on seeing certain people operate well in that field, they're like, so you learn from Earn Your Leisure? Okay, we'll take you in.
You know, all right. So if you put it that way, I think if they get a competitor, if they have somebody that's like
Google doing that.
Making them, Google got a certificate program, so I think they're gonna start one, like 6 months to learn whatever trade that is, and then that will be it will be validated.
Think about you learning how to learn online right now.
Yeah.
Didn't I say, like, I think it might have been our first or second episode when the pandemic had hit. I'm like, first of all, the veil has been pulled off from college. We do not need to go to college anymore. What I say, niggas send their kids to college to either get fucked or fucked up. Like, that's all it is. And you could learn anything from online. Niggas just need to go to a very strict online class, earn a certificate, and then go do what you got to do.
I mean, look at the NCAA. You know what I mean? Like, there was a long time where they didn't let let the student athletes. I'll say athlete students because they're there to
Word.
They're there to play. They play sports first.
If it's D3, it's a student athlete.
Student athlete. But if you're in D1, you're an athlete student. You're an athlete that also goes to school. So, but they didn't let them make money on the side. They couldn't make money off their name at all. And if you do, it's a violation. But once the G League started pulling up and saying like, yo, you can just go straight here. Or when Instagram pulled up and they were getting famous without college. Because that was the point of going to the NCAA was so you could get your name out there. Yes. My name is already out there. I don't need you. And you say I can't make money? I'm not going. Yeah. And that's why most people started to not go to college because they found something that helps them get where they needed to go without going. So that's that competitor that you were talking about. And once NCAA started to see that, all right, y'all can come here and then you can get your money.
Yeah, they just passed something where they can get paid, right?
Even though the athlete students were fighting for it for years, but it took the world changing and the athletes to start getting their own clout and their own money outside of the NCAA for the NCAA to start saying, okay, y'all can do it. If that keeps y'all here, please.
Yes,
we'll let y'all do it. I need y'all. Because these institutions need us.
They do. They
need us, but we're conditioned to think that we need them.
Yeah, we never realized the power we had until they started seeing. I don't know who they like. For example, LaMelo Ball, who has
perfect example.
He might be the most famous basketball player to enter the league in a very long time, even more than Zion Williamson, because I think he has more followers. We understand that Zion might have been a better player, but from fame and the amount of notoriety he's going to bring to the league, Melo is probably number one.
Oh, yeah, easily.
He has more followers than his team on IG. No, it's crazy.
You've been knowing him since, 8th grade?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it's really weird to watch him play in the NBA.
It is.
Because we see him as a kid, bro.
Yeah,
it's so weird seeing him, and he's 6'8", and he's nice as fuck.
And he's dead as an NBA player, but it's just hard to register.
It's like, yo, is this kid really in the NBA right now? It's like, wait, what?
Throwing passes behind the back. Oops. Like it's nothing, bro. Like he been doing this. Like he been in the league for 10 years.
And I think it's really, really fitting to see him actually be good. Because I think we always like, okay, we know LaMelo, he's good, but how good is he actually going to be? Right?
I think he was always the best. I don't want to compare the brothers, but he was always the more talented one out of the all. But once he got the height, it was like, all right, yeah.
LeVar said that though. LeVar said he's going to be better than Lonzo, and I think
that's something with it's something with younger siblings. The youngest siblings that always have like everything that they just have the whole package for some reason.
Because you get it. Number one, he grew up as a freshman playing on the best basketball team in a very long time in America. I know I just be saying best, but I think all 5 stars from that team have gotten drafted to the NBA.
Yeah, I think so.
And he was a freshman starting on that team.
And think about it, you're competing with your brothers all day long, your whole life.
True.
So I think that definitely like upped how good he was gonna be. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I love watching him. And it's so sad what happened to the middle brother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The fact that he's never gonna be in the league. Think about how he must feel, bro.
He gonna get there though. If he don't give up, I feel like he gonna get there. He has the body size. I want to see him.
But it's something about middle children too that just happens to them all the time. And I'm not like there's a middle child syndrome, and then there's things that just happen to middle children for some reason. Well, I know the reason. It's because you don't get the same attention that the first child got because you're not their first child. You're like we got another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we got another one. That's just what it is. And then the baby depending on when your parents have the next kid, you're not the youngest anymore.
Word.
Now the baby is the baby, and now you just
lost in the
between.
sauce quick. It's
right?
like I was the center of attention. Now I'm not.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and that shows throughout their entire life too. And I think that's just another a sad example, but it's another example of it. I don't know how he feels about it. I don't know these niggas. But it's like he probably does feel that way. Like,
I mean, how would you feel if and it's not like he didn't want to play football. Like Peyton Manning, their brother, he didn't want to play football at all. I think he got hurt, and that was understandable. But he's clearly trying to get to the NBA and probably working his ass off with them. And it's like, bro, we're on a roster, and You're not. Like, when he won money, like, how is he making money? He has to ask his little brother, like, bro, can you buy me a car, please? Like,
this shit is heartbreaking.
I'm sure he's okay. Yeah. Like, I'm sure he's okay, but of course he would want to be in the NBA with the rest of his brothers. Because why not? You know what I mean? Like, exactly. But that's another thing about what we were talking about when it came to, like, just having a good self-esteem and valuing and just seeing what you value, because things like that could fuck you over, and, like, it can make you real depressed, and it can make you like, damn, I'm not good enough. But it's only because you're comparing yourself to what's around you. You know what I mean? So I don't know if LeVar is like instilling those values into him. I don't know them. You know what I'm saying? So, but hopefully it doesn't hurt him that much where he just gets lost in his life and doesn't know what to do, and ultimately probably does something. You know what I mean? Not to get too morbid, but you know what I mean?
Not word.
But that's the shit. Like, we hear stories like that all the time. You know what I mean? So,
have you studied, like, cause it sounds like you know a lot about, like, child development, like how certain things in your life can affect you.
Oh, when I did go to college, I studied psychology.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So that's part of why I'm not gonna say no, because you don't really. It's all science. It's all like still like experimental. Like, in the world of psychology, they're still figuring out things, but there's theories that, you know, that explain certain behaviors. But yeah, I studied psychology when I went to college, so that's why I'm kind of very interested in just like mental health and just developmental behavior.
Okay,
yeah. I think it's the most interesting shit ever.
I think it's one of the most important sciences.
Yeah,
and that's, you know, it's another thing about school too. We don't learn about psychology until college. You have to choose to learn about this. I don't know why it's not one of the sciences that we learn in high school. Mm-hmm. We learn about living environment or biology, whatever you call it, depending on where you at, chemistry and physics, right? But not social sciences, whether it's sociology or psychology. And that doesn't make sense because we all have a brain. It's still something that we need to develop and learn about. So I don't know why we're not teaching it. But I did see something that they are putting like Psych 101 in high schools or something. I don't know how many schools are doing it, but it's really important. I feel like if I learned Psych 101 in high school, I probably would have been able to like evaluate certain things that I would have had to do in a therapy session myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Depending on the type of person.
1,000%. I was taking this online course, child life development. And just by taking that course, I felt like I put myself through therapy. Because I started realizing, like, oh, this is why I can't control my emotions. Mm-hmm. And then when you realize that, that's the only time you're able to deal with it and fix it.
In real time, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it gives the kid the idea, okay, this is why I'm acting like this. Mm-hmm. And they understand themselves. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason behind it instead of, oh, I'm just acting out, I'm just being myself. No, it's because of this reason. I can look in the mirror and go, how can I change this? Mm-hmm. How do I... change its effect.
But psychology is fairly new though. Like, that's one of the newer sciences. Like, it started in like officially in the late 1800s or early 1900s, whereas everything else was like years and years and years of research, like thousands of years of research. Whereas this one, it's fairly new. So I guess that's another reason. It's not all the way proven yet. Whereas all the other sciences have like proven experiments. While in the social sciences, it's theories. Cause
that's all it could really ever be.
It can only ever be theory. I think so, because everybody's different.
There's no concrete evidence to. And the thing about child psychology is like, I don't know how to say this. Like, for example, me and you can have the exact same childhood, and I can see the way you have developed and be like, oh, that he is angry all the time because his dad was an angry person, right? And that's why he's so emotional. But your brother might be completely different, right?
Because we don't have the same exact childhood. That's the thing. We don't. Like, if we're something that's different, something as precise as being born a different day can change the course of your entire life. You know what I mean? We have different friends. That's another thing. We eat different foods. That's another thing. There's so many factors into how a person becomes who they are. That it's just so hard to say, put on paper, like, this is why I'm like this. So that's probably another reason why it's not one of those sciences that's still taken seriously, because there's no concrete evidence. Again, it's all theory. But Yeah, it's not,
and that's one of the reasons why it's hard to study too. This is one of the most interesting. But
it's still important to study though.
It is, but it's hard to like. Okay, you know how you do like the scientific method where you have a hypothesis and you prove it. It's hard because like one of the most interesting things I learned is like during the Great Depression, as you said, like being born on a different day, kids who were born like say 10 years before the Great Depression, and as it started to hit, they were 18. What they found was that these people became extremely independent, extremely hardworking, and extremely self-motivated because at a small age, or at a young age of 16, 17, 18, they realized the importance of their family. And it's like, oh, I'm 16, but I have to work to provide for the family, right? So all young kids were working and helping provide for that family, and that built their self-confidence. Think about being a 17-year-old and knowing that, yo, I am an intricate part of the family surviving. That gives you a certain type of you know what I mean? A certain type of confidence to walk around with. And the kids who were around 8, 9, or 10 that grew up in that same thing were lazy as fuck because all their older siblings was taking care of them. And number one, they didn't have a lot of people there with them because everyone was out working. So that's crazy. Like just being born a little bit different.
Yeah.
It could change your entire perspective on life.
And then say you are born on the same day. Say you did grow up in the same household. What if you're light skinned and your brother's dark skinned? You have a different life now. Just because people treat you differently. So it's just hard to quantify. So but I love it though, just because of that though. It's just so many nuances when it comes to it. What were you gonna say?
What was life growing up as a dark skinned brother?
You know, it's funny, I'm making a song about it too.
Word?
But
give us a little insight.
It's being dark skinned and growing up in going to school in a Spanish neighborhood too was, I'm not gonna say hard, but it's an experience where you have to really learn how to value yourself because colorism exists. You know what I mean? And if you're not, this was when like being light skinned was like, oh, you light skinned? Ooh, you so cute. Like I was called ugly because I was dark skinned. And I was ugly too. But
it was 51% because I was dark, but 49%.
Like
you was ugly, but it's not because you was dark skinned.
Both. No, I just realized what you said. Don't strike that. That's not what I meant. But
let's get this nigga canceled before his career even starts.
So, but yeah, like it was always a time where Blackie, and you know Chappelle's show when they had the Charlie Murphy thing, right? When he was like darkness, like you know, I walk in a room, darkness, like this is you get bullied because of your skin, and that affects your self-esteem. So it's super important to have that. Like if you have a dark skinned child, like it's important to give them that self confidence without like attributing their skin color to chocolate or whatever, like food and shit. Just like, yo, you're dark skinned, this is who you are. Still be that nigga. Yep. You know what I mean? Still, you know what I mean? But growing up as a dark skinned kid, it was kind of tough, like on my self esteem, which is because I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel accepted, and at the time, and this was the time where Africans weren't. I'm not from Africa, but Africans were looked at as like African booty scratcher or shit like that too. So mix that with people thinking that my family is original, like they immigrated from Africa. I think we're all from Africa, but my family thinking that my family immigrated from Africa, they looked at me a different way too, and I'm glad that look on Africans and dark-skinned people has improved, but there's still a long way to go.
That's true.
There's still a long way to go.
You've been to Africa, right?
Yeah, I've been to Africa. So I went to Africa. I went to Rwanda specifically.
Okay, shout out to Rwanda.
Shout out to Rwanda. It's a beautiful country. Y'all should really go. Yeah, I always tell people to go. And this is one of the most. This is the thing I love talking about too. Outside of music, this is what I love talking about. So I went there to teach acting classes. I went with this company called Turi Kumwe. Right, I got a grant to go. I taught at a summer camp. One of the most fulfilling experiences I've ever had in my life. Simply because I was in a new country. I was in another continent. You know what I mean? Just a whole nother continent, a whole different way of life. It was on the east. You know what I mean? And it just gave me a lot of perspective. Because one, I was helping mold young minds because I never taught before, so that's one thing. But it also showed me how to appreciate certain things that I have over here. You know what I mean? Because certain countries in Africa are poverty stricken to a degree where if if you're not used to it, you're gonna cry when you're there. You know what I mean? Like there was a time where the realizing moment for me was when I was doing trying to do a lesson. I try to get my students to do scene work based on social issues, right? So I try to I asked them, what's the certain things that you go through as a Rwandan, right? One of them said the education system, sometimes they have to import people from outside of the country to teach them because there weren't a lot of teachers. I'm like, okay. Then somebody said poverty, like there's a lot of poverty. And in an effort to relate to my students, I was like, oh, you know what? It's interesting that you say that because in America there's a issue with poverty. There's an issue with poverty. They started laughing.
It's a different type of poverty.
And I'm looking at them like, what the fuck are you laughing for, right? I mean, of course I didn't say that, but I'm like, what the fuck are you laughing for? Meanwhile, I'm saying this with Adidas pants on, $1,000 phone in my pocket, prescription lenses, an American Eagle shirt, and then that's like pop when you're here. Yes. But over there, this is a $30 shirt, whereas the average salary in Rwanda is $600 American dollars. The yearly salary is average yearly is $600 to $800.
And I think on Africa as a whole, it's way lower than that. I think I read something where it's like the average African lives off less than $1 a day.
I don't know the truth to that, but you know, if that's true, that's crazy. Meanwhile, what I was simply wearing, was more than what their parents would have made in a month or two, and it just put it into perspective. Like we complain about whether or not we have hot water in the crib. And I was in a country where they had to worry about having running water. Fuck it if it's hot or cold. Like, is this shit running? Mm-hmm. Is there food to eat? You know what I mean? And it just gave me it gave me empathy, and it helped me understand that, like, all right, there's things back home that I love. And that's not to say like Africa is just all poverty and shit. It's a beautiful country. Like Rwanda specifically, they're light years ahead of us. Like years ahead of America when it comes to just like common decency, just having common sense. Mm-hmm. Their streets are clean. There's no litter. Mm-hmm. Like every third Saturday of the month, they're required to clean. Wow. Like, don't go to work. We're gonna clean. We're gonna clean this shit.
I love that. I actually was thinking about like, how can we improve the hood? And I started thinking like, yo, we need to get somebody to come into the hood, and number one, everyone pays rent. We need to come together, put that money together, and buy the buildings that we live in. And on top of that, we should have like a governing body that says, listen, bro, we can't have the front of the buildings dirty as fuck. Mm-hmm. Let everybody come together and clean and shit like that. And that's awesome to say that they have that going on in Africa.
Now, there's also like there's some corruption, just like every country has too, but there's things that they do understand that we don't. You know what I mean? And it's fun as fuck there too. Like they got clubs out there too. Like they have shit. But because of what we're taught, well, we're not even taught about Africa. That's one thing. But because of what we see in the commercials, the 10 cents a day shit, that's just the only thing we think about Africa. And I think that needs to change. Luckily, again, as I said earlier, the perception of Africans is changing, but there needs to be more work done.
I'm big on that too. And me and Nick always have like an argument of like speaking about Africa and everything. Right. I'm like, they portrayed that Africa is dirt poor growing up. Yeah. You seen on TV. Only time you seen about Africa was this kid. Can you donate 10 cents a day, 10 cents a month to help this hungry kid and everything? Yeah,
or a person playing a stereotype of Africa, doing the click noises, all that other shit. Which is really disrespectful because not all African countries speak in those dialects. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like there's such a lack of education and an ignorance towards just African countries in general. And that's the thing. There's African countries. Africa isn't just one place.
We look at Africa as
just
country.
One country. There's Nigeria, there's Ghana, there's Rwanda, there's Egypt, there's South Africa. There's just so many fucking countries in Africa. South Africa
never living better than Brooklyn. I ain't gonna lie to you. For a fact.
But yeah, like I implore anybody to go to Africa just to see it and just to understand it a little bit differently, especially if you live in America. Like, try to go.
The Naked Mouse Show got to take a trip to Africa. I think they need that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because it's not a vacation spot. People don't go. You know what I mean?
But it could be a good vacation spot, right?
It literally is one. Definitely. But people don't look at because it's not tropical, because there's not marketing behind it. you know, people don't go.
When you got there, did you feel like you belong there?
Yes, that's another thing too. Yeah. It was so amazing to see a government, citizens, billboards of people that look just like you. Wow. That's just different, bro. That's just completely and then it was refreshing. And when I came back, I was like, oh fuck, shit. Like I'm a minority again. That type of shit, right? It's crazy being somewhere and you're not the minority.
I definitely feel that when I go to Trinidad. When I go to Trinidad, it's like you feel like, I won't say stand out, but you just kind of feel included in everything. And as soon as you land in JFK, all you see is white people. Yep. And it's kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm glad that I got to experience it because like I understood the power of, you know, being black. You know what I mean? Like just being in a country where everybody's black. Oh, there's no excuses no more. Like yeah, everybody's here looks like me. It's like, okay, this is what it feels like to not feel a weight on you. And I brought that back with me too. I learned so much going there, bro. I learned so much.
I think I was actually having a conversation with Malcolm yesterday because I remember one skit, because you said you went over there to teach acting classes, right? So you've done acting before.
Yeah, I wanted to be an actor before I started rapping.
I knew that because one of the clips on your IG where you was with a young lady and it was like, I forgot what it was. It was so hilarious. You was telling them how you met.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, that shit was so funny, yo.
That was me and my girl. She's funny as shit. Well, we were shooting the black hair video. She was in the black hair video, and that was just a blooper. We just got on the camera and just started talking shit. But yeah, that's where you see the concepts come to life too, because I have that theater background as well.
I could tell. I'm like, this dude is an yo. And the thing about it is, it wasn't much. It was like what, 10-second clip, and I can see by just little twitches in your body and the way you said and delivered lines. I'm like, oh, this guy can act. Like it's very clear.
Even in your music videos, especially like the old ones. I forgot the name of the song.
Love Is How We Live.
Probably you had the suit. You was like the manager.
Oh, clock out. Yeah. I love that fucking video, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, bro, he's all your music, bro. Like it correlates to the Dropout by Kanye West. So Kanye West definitely plays a big role into it. But
Absolutely.
I'm like, yo, this is, bro, you're just talented all around. Like you can act. You playing the employee role, the manager role. I'm like, yeah. And you could just see it in your face, like Nick said.
Have you always been someone, like people like you that have all these concepts, have you always been someone that kind of like was processing things as a kid? Like you're looking at everything, thinking about it critically, like, oh, yes. Why is it?
All the time. And it help. Of course it helps me with my art, but I'm always someone who's I don't do things because people say to do it. I don't do traditional things. I always ask why. And because I ask why, it makes me look at things critically. It makes me analyze things before I do it. And it makes me analyze why people are doing it. You know what I mean? Why'd you ask that?
Because I just, like, personally, like, with the podcasting thing, right? When I started studying the podcast game, and I would look at like a Joe Rogan or a Charlemagne or Andrew Schultz, I'm like, they have all these opinions because they look at the world very critically. Me personally, that's something I had to learn. You could ask Malcolm. I was telling him, like, bro, when we look at certain things, we need to be more critical in the way that we look at it. Because I think a lot of people just go through life and let information pass them by and never try to break it down. And that's actually
question it.
Yeah, and that's actually very beneficial when you do a podcast. Like, what am I bringing to the people? Right, I have to be a critical consumer of everything, including media, in order to do that. And I could just tell by all the concepts and the ideas that you have that that's what you do. Else you wouldn't have all these different ideas.
And you know what? I think it's because I was allowed to. You know, because as a kid, like look at babies. They like toddlers always ask why.
Yes.
And we kind of lose that because we're told, yo, stop asking questions. Why are you asking so much questions? You know what I mean? Follow this. I was allowed to keep asking questions. I was allowed to be inquisitive, and it kind of developed as I kept getting older, and it became what I'm doing right now. And I can't wait to see what it's going to become. You know what I mean? It's going to be, next year it's going to be on steroids. Just because, just
come
like,
on.
We like the sound of that.
Like we got to get you back in the studio next year too.
And I would love to come back too. I just value important work, and that's just like if anybody who meets me or sees anything that I do, I just want them to understand that I'm trying to do something important, and I think you guys see that too. Like there's more than just me just trying to be the best rapper or anything like that. I don't care about that shit. It's all subjective. I just want you to learn something, and I live for the moments where I get a DM like, yo, I heard Boys Do Cry, bro, and I'm like, yo, that shit. I've been suffering from depression for the last 2 years, and I heard that. I'm like, yo, I need to cry. That's what gets me. That validates why I do this. You know what I mean?
And that's why I know you're going to be big, bro. I'm sorry to say, like, you're going to be a star. Like, I think for any artist, anybody doing anything, the most important place you could look at to see how you're being received is the YouTube comments. And when you go through your YouTube comments, it's shit. People like, yo, this, like, everything is, yo, this dude is next up. Yo, this dude, he resonates with me. Like, people love you, bro. And it's because the work you're putting out there is actually valuable to people. It's not, you, and that's, it's crazy how well you rap and how good the shit that you say sounds. And it's like, oh, there's so much meaning into it. You know who I liken you to? Dave Chappelle. Because Dave Chappelle is a hilarious dude, but it's so much content and so much positivity in that funniness.
And that's who I'm inspired by. Like, stand-up comedians.
Yes, me too.
Because comedians, they have a way, like the good ones at least, not the hacky ones that just tell jokes. The one that are telling truth within what they're doing, so it's palatable. And I think, I mean, I look at rappers that do it too, like Cole and K-Dot and Kanye, but it's so few of them that do it that I have to look at other inspirations to get that. And Dave Chappelle is one of those inspirations too. You know
He's one of my inspirations, so I've been studying him a lot lately.
Yeah, bro. It's like, yeah.
If I was to ask you if you wanted your career to be like one artist, who would it be? And I asked you that question because I think Childish Gambino is someone, that type of career where you can do anything, you're really good at it.
I would say like Childish Gambino, Lil Dicky, those guys, because I don't just rap. It just be like that. I don't just rap. So I want to do all the things that I care about, and not just because I'm good at it, but just because I care about it. And I don't want to be put into that box, which is why you'd see all this unique shit. You know what I mean? Because this is just how I think. And it took me a while to get like that too, because I used to just do things that other rappers do, but I'm not just that. You know what I mean? That's why I don't punchline it up when I'm rapping, because I know I could do that shit. Like, no cap, I'm better than a lot of rappers.
You be doing no, bro. You are.
That's
you know
a fact.
I mean?
But I can just bar every line, but it doesn't serve any purpose.
These niggas be capping every day like they Chance the Rapper. Like, look, we're not hurt. I'm like, golly, bro. Like, come on. Stop doing that.
But there's intention with it too. I'm not just saying metaphors just because, oh, this is like what rappers do. I'm saying it so you can like receive it in a way that it's like, all right, oh, one, this is hot, but niggas do be capping every day. Like Chance the Rapper. It will make you remember what I'm trying to tell you. Like the goal was to tell you what I'm trying to tell you, but I'm saying it in a way that you can remember it later on. Like while you're in the shower, like, oh, you know what I mean? like that's the reason why I do it.
And this is why
like
when you do start getting your popularity, which is inevitable, your numbers are gonna be crazy because your music has replay value.
Yes.
It's something that you wanna, especially if you highlight, I might as well watch this 10 times. Like, and every time, I feel like every time you listen to it, there's kind of another level you could take out of it. There's something else you can realize.
And that's by design too, bro.
Yeah.
Like I try to make it consumable, but not in a way where you consume it and throw it away. You need to consume it a few times. No matter, even though it's 1 minute, there's a lot to consume, whether it's in the video or it's in something that I said or how I said it too. And the more that I keep doing that, on top of that, it helps me too, because then people will just like find one video and then just watch everything else, which helps with the streams, which helps with everything. But it opens people's eyes to just like different kind of like musical content that they're not used to, and that's something that I don't take for granted. I like being one of the people that people can say like, okay, music is going this way, but at least this person is doing this, and I can fuck with that.
Do you think where you work at plays a role in your visuals?
No, not really. No. I mean, it helps because it's not a traditional place, but it doesn't. No, not really. Like, what really like helps with what plays a role in my videos is just like what I watch, TV shows I watch, or interviews I watch, or just having conversations with people. That's what helps with the videos more than anything.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Dope. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed the Piff Marti interview, man. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Honestly, bro,
I'll be back.
You will definitely be back, and I feel like we could talk for another 2 hours because we're just having a conversation.
Hopefully, next time I come here is when I have a little bit more time to stay.
Okay.
Because we only cutting it because press for time or other reasons, but.
It's so much shit. We didn't even talk about anything I have on the list, bro. And that's how you know when it's a good interview.
Yeah.
But, thanks for coming through, bro. I think you're going to be a star one day. And tell people where they can follow you on Instagram and all that good stuff.
Everything, you can follow me at Piff Marti, Piffmarti. If I were to suggest one thing that I would want you to watch, or a couple things, it's Boys Do Cry, Uni, and New Crib. Watch everything though.
Yes,
everything.
Definitely 4 years too.
In 4 years, just watch everything.
This should have been the first question, but it'll be the last question. How did you get the name Piff Marti?
Oh, so my eyes were low for my entire life, and my friend, he called me Piff just because everybody thought I smoked weed when I was 13, so they just started calling me Piff. And Marti came from my friend's name, whose last name was Martinez. So I'm like, this is a cool name, Piffy Martinez, and then I just shortened it,
Marti.
and it was Piff Marti.
Dope as fuck. Ladies and gentlemen, Piff Marti.
Thank you.
Good interview, bro. Julia.
Ever told on a nigga? No. Ever squeezed the trigger? Yep. Ever set a nigga up? No. Ever helped a brother out when he was down on his luck?